Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I'm super excited. I'm sure as a lot of you guys know, this is episode 4 this year. We've touched on a lot. We've touched from manufacturing to the restaurant industry and just agriculture. And now we're going into something that I think it's really important that we have more conversations about as business leaders and as people, and that's health and wellness around business. So I'm personally super excited for tonight's panel and to get into some of these questions. So without further ado, I'm going to individually, invite up my guests. So please give them a round of applause. Our first guest is Leon Ferguson, who's the Vice President of Bridges Health. Come on up, Leon. Thanks for coming. Where do you want to sit? The seat. Sure, it's good. We'll go, I guess, one by one. The next is Brooke Bulloch, if I'm pronouncing that right, CEO of Food to Fit Nutrition here in Saskatoon. Please give her a hand. And last but certainly not least, Dawn Wotherspoon. Of course, I messed that up. Owner of ClubMynx Fitness here in Saskatoon. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the warm round of applause. How you guys doing? How you feeling? Oh, I wish we had tables for you guys' drinks over there.
Hello.
We got the mics working. T-Bone's pretty good at his job. So
you got it? You guys can hear me way back there? Awesome. Now they're still paying
attention. Yours working, Brooke?
Perfect.
I think it should be good to go.
Hello? Oh, yeah. There we go.
Oh.
Yeah, we're live.
It's on.
We're just that prepared.
I see yours has a bright light, and I was looking for
Mine's
light.
wireless. It's kind of a host thing you wouldn't understand. No. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Good.
Good.
Yeah?
Cold.
Excited? That's good.
Awesome. Feeling awesome.
Feeling awesome. That's really good. I'm excited, guys. Thank you so much, and thanks everyone. What I wanted to do before, I definitely have a lot of questions, and I'm excited to talk about what you guys do and how we can deep dive into it. But I want to kind of give each of you, we'll go left to right, 2 minutes to talk about who you are and what your business offers. So Leon, we'll start with you.
I thought ladies first, but I'll go with the program.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for having me. My name's Leon Ferguson, obviously, with Bridges Health. What does Bridges Health do? We are a health services firm that works with employers to develop programs and assist them with services that are involved with injury prevention. If there's injuries that are happening in the workplace, we're there to support that. If there's illnesses that are happening in the workplace, we're there to support that team as well. So essentially what you could look at us like as an extension to your HR team or your safety team, depending on the dynamics of your organization. And Cody, that looked really good, by the way. Yeah, so we specialize in injuries and illnesses as well as psychological health and safety and mental health. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about that.
Awesome. Thanks, Leon. That's awesome. I'm excited. And what about you, Brooke?
Yeah, sure. So Food to Fit is a team of registered dietitians. We basically work with a variety of individuals and families doing one-on-one counseling. We provide group workshops, public speaking, media services. And basically we work from a non-diet perspective, which basically means that we meet the client where they're at. And we do not actually use weight loss as one of our primary focus of outcomes. We rather look at other tangible measurements to health and work with healthy behaviors and looking at different ways to improve people's confidence and health around food that have nothing to do with their size. So we call that a weight-inclusive approach. So basically we don't bias anybody regardless of their size, but we do still find a lot of successful outcomes. So yeah, I think that's really about all I want.
You nailed it. That's awesome.
Yes.
Nailed it.
A lot of people have questions about weight inclusive and non-diet. So maybe at the end, if people have questions,
there'll definitely be a Q&A period at the end. I got my questions first,
okay.
But we definitely have an open.
I'll
Q&A.
hang out afterwards. I mean, so if anyone wants to ask me personally more about that, yeah.
All right, and Dawn.
Yes, hi everyone. So my name is Dawn Wotherspoon. I am a mindset and confidence coach. I am a meditation teacher, and I also own ClubMynx Movement and Wellness Studio. And so this year, we celebrated our 10-year business anniversary at ClubMynx.
Hey, yeah,
Thanks,
awesome.
Yeah, and we always have been And we'll continue to be ambassadors of what I call playful movement at our studio. And so really what that encompasses is just moving for the joy of moving, not looking at moving and exercising for just transformation, but really having fun with your movement and playing. And in recent years, as I've continued to evolve and grow as an individual, have brought in more of a focus on all types of wellness. So really looking at mental wellness as well, bringing in some strategic partners for nutritional wellness guidance at the studio, and also spiritual wellness. So bringing that aspect in from my coaching, looking at mindset and also confidence for our participants as well. So that kind of summarizes what we do.
Awesome, that's great. So we have experts in different fields and obviously a lot of cross between that too, and it's really interesting. I do want to start with mental, because everyone here knows that I need a lot of mental help. And so, Leon, I actually have a specific question for you. Like, December is kind of a crazy time for everybody, both professionally and personally, people trying to get gifts, there's lots going on. And I feel that, could you give us some ways that we can kind of de-stress and kind of coming into January, like refocus our energy on what needs to be done? Like, is there some tips around that you could share?
I think to start off with is, yes, we're through December, so I think everybody should give themselves a pat on the back with that one, especially those folks that are the big families and traveling, so good for you. But really, honestly, I think you just got to go back to the basics and be yourself. I don't have a magic answer, but what I can say is that, you know, if you reflect on what happened throughout the year, do that, but then put it away. You know, don't dwell on it, because a lot of people will dwell on the negatives and not the positives. So I would suggest doing that, and then set up a plan. You know, so while you're reflecting, I would suggest, and anybody that's been through project management understands the PDCA abbreviation: plan, do, check, and adjust. So what went well, what didn't, adjust, tweak, and move forward. You know, build a plan for next year. And I don't know if people have heard SMART abbreviation, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, retainable, and then timelines.
Yeah.
Do that, stick to your plan, and focus on the 90%. That's going really well. I think that really, honestly, that's Darcy Lang's quote. Mm-hmm. If anybody knows Darcy Lang, she's powerful, and if you have a chance to see her, I would strongly recommend that.
Awesome, that's great, and it's funny. There's a lot of people this time of year that start to build plans, right? Like the New Year's, that's where a lot of it comes around, and that's where, Brooke, I actually want to kind of talk about this. I feel that one of the things that I personally even skip over, and I know some of my peers do, is food, like and how important that is to our mental health. So can we talk a little bit about how what we eat affects our mental health?
Definitely. I mean, and I think it's important to understand, sure, there's a lot of good research coming out around the role that nutrition plays in mental health, but I still want to really preface my answer with it's super multifactorial, and while nutrition plays a role, it's just a small piece of the puzzle. It's really, but sometimes people want to make it out to be the end-all be-all answer, yeah. Right? It's very complex. And I would say that even the role of stigma is bigger than nutrition, and it's really great that people are talking about mental health in the workplace more, and at the end of the month, we have the Bell Let's Talk, so I think all of these are really important. When it comes to nutrition, I mean, I think to keep it really short, I have a whole list of things that I wanted to talk about, but I'm gonna keep it shorter. So I think really when it comes to the research, whether you're talking schizophrenia, ADHD, Alzheimer's disease, depression, a lot of the research is really summarizing and coming down to reducing intake of saturated fat, particularly from red meat, reducing intake of trans fatty acids, which the government has tried really hard to do in our processed food, but also increasing our intake of omega-3 fatty acids from fish, walnuts, and things like chia seeds, maybe fish oil supplements if you're not a fish oil or a fish eater. And vitamin D, maintaining those vitamin D levels in your blood. So if you're not taking vitamin D and you haven't been taking vitamin D, maybe get your blood levels checked or talk to your doctor about that. And then finally, the last role was, what did I want to? Oh, the role of antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E in food forms, because these actually scavenge free radicals throughout the body. And so it's really, really cool. The roles of fats, the roles of carbohydrates. The brain is the number one organ in our body. The organ in our body that uses the most carbohydrates is our brain. So the role of carbohydrates in mood stabilization and just how we eat throughout the day. So, getting those little bits of carbs throughout the day. And then, of course, our neurotransmitters that communicate neurons through the brain back and forth are made up of amino acids. So and amino acids are the building block of proteins. So,
Right.
carbohydrates, fats, proteins, micronutrients, there's so much to it.
Yeah,
We're
obviously,
really just reaching the tip of the iceberg, but so it's really complex. But yeah, those would be some of the key nutrients, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that answer. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I was like, obviously I threw like a really broad question, and you're just like, okay, how do I answer that terrible question very quickly? But that was really awesome. I appreciate that.
You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
Thanks, Leon. That was really nice of you to say that. And actually, that ties really nice, because I feel like a lot of New Year's resolutions I know are mental ones, food ones, and then fitness ones. Those are probably the most that I see. And that was what I was going to ask you, Dawn, is how do we as business people, like, how important is in maintaining, a routine exercise? Like, can you kind of talk about how important that is in maintaining that and having that as part of your routine?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like, when it comes to exercise and movement, what's really important is to understand is, like, as business owners, entrepreneurs, we serve other people. We serve our clients. We're taking care of other people. But in order to do that, in order to have the stamina, the energy, the vitality, the creativity, we need to take care of ourselves first. It's just as simple as that. And so often we can get on the track of pushing forward with our business mission and working long hours and kind of starting to forget the key principles, the simple principles of what will help me take care of myself. And so, of course, the basics are good nutrition, taking care of our mental health and stress, and also moving our body. Our body it really loves to move. And so paying attention to that and just moving more every day for the benefit of taking ourselves, and through that we really can serve our clients better and see the success that we want in our business because we took care of ourselves first.
Yeah, that's awesome. And actually, to piggyback onto that, can you give some like quick exercises or things that, like, for people that are pressed for time, entrepreneurs, business leaders, like, is there something that you recommend regarding just kind of a quick exercise that you can jump into? Or
Squats. No, I'm just kidding.
like right now?
Yeah. Just squat it out. No, what I would say is kind of the same thing. I can't say a perfect blanket solution. There's no quick fix. This is what you must do. You're going to check off every box with it. What I actually recommend is tuning in to what your body is telling you it really needs. And so what I mean by that is, like, when you're sitting all day at a computer or a desk and maybe you're not great posture, to check in for a moment and actually, like, say, okay, what is the message my body is telling me? What kind of movement or activity is it craving right now? And maybe that would be like a nice stretch, or, going for a walk and getting some movement. So that's one example of kind of tuning into what your body is asking for. Another would be if you have a really stressful day, say you're in meetings back to back, or you've just had a really full plate. If you, again, take that check-in, what is my body really asking for? What could benefit? Maybe it's actually getting your energy up and out through some more physical movement. And so maybe that's like, going for a run or a vigorous walk, or whatever type of movement actually gets your heart rate really going to kind of move that energy out and through you. So it depends on your day. It depends on how active you are throughout the day. But at a minimum, just moving your body every day in some way will always contribute to better health.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's very practical too, right? It's not like you have to do this many this and this many this, right? It's really practical, just day in and day out. And I appreciate that. And that actually brings me to, like, Leon, I'm just thinking, I'm going to bounce around with all you guys, but with all these, like, for me, I know that I want to work out more in the new year. I want to eat better in the new year. And there's a lot of anxiety surrounded around people setting these goals, but then it's like, okay, now it's time to execute on this. And that can cause a lot of anxiety. It's like, I have to get up and do this. Is there any practical tips you have of just, like, you know, like put that aside, or not put it aside, but how to deal with that anxiety on these big resolutions that people have.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great information, and it's exactly what we need to be doing. There's one element that I think that really helps that we overlook, and that's sleep. I think that if we all looked around and if I did a quick survey with a hands up, it said how many of us got 8 hours of sleep last night. I bet you there'd be like 1 or 2. There you go. Awesome. Good for you. Good for you. See, now right away. So, and my hand was way down here. So right away the fundamentals, you know, and anxiety is something that can creep up on you pretty quickly if you don't have those fundamentals in check. So I'm just going to give you some quick science, and don't beat me up too much on this if I mispronounce a word or anything, okay? So lymphatic systems, we all know what those are, you know, pumps your body through the blood vessels, cleans your system up, and does all those kinds of fun things. And I'm going to simplify for me so I can understand it.
Yeah,
okay?
Please.
Yeah, so research and science has just actually shown that we have another system inside our body, inside our brain, and it is called the cranial cleansing system. So in fact, we didn't know that. 10 years ago, we had no idea that that was actually going on in our brain while we slept. We just thought that it was our lymphatic system that was cleaning everything up, including our brain. But in fact, our brain shrinks 10% while you sleep. And then it does what I would call a dishwasher. Like, it cleans up all the neurons, cleans up all the blood vessels, gets rid of all that stuff. However, it takes 8 hours to go through that cycle. So if you're getting 4 hours of sleep, you're only going through half the car wash or the dishwasher, right? What happens then, all of a sudden, you've got cognitive dissonance. You've got brain fog. You've got anxiety. You've got all this stuff going on, and you're thinking, I've got serious problems. Well, but in fact, maybe you just need to get yourself some good sleep and eat well and exercise well. Just sit with the fundamentals. So I'm going to give you some perspective. If you go, and don't, I'm going off memory here, so, but you'll get the point. If you go about 18 hours without any sleep, that's like 0.04% blood, alcohol in your blood. Same kind of thing. If you go 20 hours without sleep, it's like 0.08% alcohol in your blood. So same cognitive dissonance, right? You go 24 hours, which everybody's like, I don't go 24 hours without sleep. Yeah, well, maybe you do, because you're not actually sleeping when your eyes are closed. I thought that was sleep for years. It's like, I close my eyes, I'm asleep. But really, deep sleep I'm talking about. If you go 24 hours without sleep, that's 0.1. So you're intoxicated.
Yeah.
So if you have family and you're running a business and you got this and you got that going on, boy, 24 hours comes up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
So just put that in perspective. Long answer, sorry.
No, that's awesome.
But I would put that in perspective.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that important? Well, I want to ask you then, how do you, like, for me, I can't turn this thing off at night. Like, I get done work and I'm like, then I'm thinking of like, should I send this email? Should I look at this? Should I do this thing? Whatever. How do you turn it off? Like, how do you do that?
I have the switch back here, and I just...
That'd be awesome. How much does that cost?
I wish. Yeah, no doubt. I think we'd have a lineup. It's no, you know what? It's important to understand that you're normal, and the average brain goes through 60 to 80,000 thoughts in a day. So when you put that in perspective, it's like, holy, that's a lot of thinking, right?
Yeah.
And then if you've got some things going on in your business or within your world, well, that can get amped up even more. So what I would say maybe as a tool, and again, be yourself, do what you've got to do to relax. Everybody's different. But the first thing I would do, because we're so stimulated visually all day long with our computers and our phones and everything else that's going on, I'm not sure if everybody understands what blue light is, but blue light's in everything that I just mentioned. Blue light will actually stimulate your eyes, which can impact your circadian rhythm, which is your system that tells you to go to sleep, keeps you on track. It's your clock. It's your internal clock. So what I would suggest you do is a quick tip. Try it. Again, it's up to you. Check your phone, and there should be a filter on there, a blue light filter. Put that on. Keep that on all the time. And maybe try to just turn some of that stuff off a couple hours before you go to bed. People that know me know I'm a bit, not right. So I do some things that are a little different. I will actually, and I'm going to do this in the spirit of being humble, and don't pick on me after. But I like to puzzle. So I will do that to calm my brain down. And I'll watch a documentary about something that I find interesting. And it stimulates my brain enough that I don't keep thinking about the same things, but it slows me down.
Right.
And that's what and then it calms me, and then I move into the next transition, which is getting away from the TV and moving into something that, whatever that maybe look like. Okay?
Right.
So try that if you want.
So don't bring your laptop to bed.
It's hard. It's very hard. But what I do actually is I put my little iPad on my bedside thing.
Yeah.
And I'll just listen to rain.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll listen to rain and thunder. And boy, that's just like rocks me to sleep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's true. I'm
I'll
actually
make it up here now.
I'm
You guys
really-
know puzzling it.
I'll just do that. I'm just gonna take that. If the Switch thing doesn't work, I'm just gonna.
I got
do
some
that.
puzzles for you. Don't get me started on that. We'll
Yeah,
take
yeah.
over this whole thing.
I suck at puzzles. And Brooke, this makes me think about this. So sometimes, because I don't want to be intoxicated at work, like Leanna was talking about, sometimes I'll sleep in, I'll hit the snooze button and stuff like that, and I'll sleep a little too long, and then I have to get up and I have to eat and get to work, and I always find that whenever I do that, I eat extremely unhealthy. So Brooke, can you share some like healthy, quick on the go, like I don't know what on the go, but just some quick meals or quick snacks that entrepreneurs and business people can grab and eat and like still feel
Sure.
good?
Yeah, I always say, not everybody is a breakfast eater. And I know that, we always hear this, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But, again, I meet my clients where they're at. And some people are like, look, don't tell me to eat breakfast. So don't worry, I'm not going to. And some people they wake up and they have it organized. So if you're a breakfast eater, what I usually do, especially if you're also a busy entrepreneur, do everything the night before, because nobody is going to get it done in the morning. So if you want, and maybe it is, what your week brings, that you have business lunches out, but the night before, take that 15 minutes, pack your lunch, or pack whatever snacks you might need for the day to get you through, and pack your breakfast. And that's what I do, because in the morning I have just enough time to kind of get ready, and the last thing I want to think about is my food, which is really great because all I have to do is grab it out of the fridge and go. So do it the night before, plan it. That said, if you're not a breakfast eater, that's fine. I always say at some point, most of us are working kind of that 9 to 5, but anytime you wake up, sometime between that and your next lunch meal, whether you're working night shifts or day shifts, break the fast. It doesn't have to be right away. It doesn't even have to be within an hour, but within a couple of hours, have something. So there's perishable snacks that you can bring from home, and then there's things that can just stay in your desk. So things that are easy grab and go, like yogurt and a piece of fruit. There's really nothing more simple than that. Or a cheese string and some crackers, or hummus and vegetables, or hummus and pretzels, or a lot of people, for the perishables, they like to have crackers and those mini cans of tuna at their desk. Their office mates don't always love them, but
Yeah, exactly. That's me. I'm that guy.
and you know what? Just as a little thing, I've noticed that men have more hang-ups about how their lunch smells than women. Women don't care,
I don't
but
care.
men
I have
are
no
like,
shame.
oh,
We
I
can't be neighbors. We can't sit together or anything.
Crack it open. I have no shame.
Things like roasted chickpeas, the Three Farmers Camelina, they now have these roasted chickpeas that are flavored and they're amazing. You can do things like Kind bars, lower sugar fruit and nut bars, dried fruit, things like that. And I think if I may, going back to any goals around whatever it may be, I often tell my clients, maybe let's focus a little less on your end goal. Because so many times when people set resolutions and goals, they're only thinking on the end goal. And it's like, well, how about we think a little bit more about the process to that goal? Because and I guess the question is, if we're only thinking on the end goal, our happiness only comes once we reach that goal. But if that goal is going to take 6 months to a year, guess what? You're probably going to get sick of the entire thing before you even get there. So think about the process, and are you going to be somewhat satisfied and happy along the way? If not, how sustainable is it? Think about that process. Does it bring you some joy, like the joy of movement, as opposed to that all or none approach where go hard or go home? Like I always say, drop that, because it's not very sustainable. Because as soon as we don't feel like going hard, we're hitting the couch at home, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
A little bit of movement. It's like, okay, I'm really exhausted, but I could handle a quick 10-minute walk with my dog. Or I'm really exhausted, but I can prioritize 15 minutes, of whatever packing my lunch for the night before, or whatever it may be. But
Right.
yeah, think more about the process than the end goal.
Right. I like that. Yeah, because I'm someone that gets demotivated by those goals, and I also, and Dawn, I'm gonna shoot this over to you. I'm someone that hates working out. Anyone that knows me, I absolutely hate it unless I'm competing in something. So, is there any tips that you can give around like, just like, if for someone that hates working out, like how can I make it enjoyable? Like, is there? I don't know if there's. It's kind of a vague question, but I'm gonna toss it over to you and see what you
Yeah,
got.
for sure. I think that's actually really important for people to consider when they're thinking about what type of movement they're going to do, because you have natural motivation when you're doing something you enjoy. It's not as much work. And so if you're enjoying what you're doing, then you don't have to work as hard to push yourself to go there, and you'll do it more regularly. So that's number one. And play with it. You know, sometimes we like, okay, I'm going to work out, so I'm going to go to the gym. And if the gym's not your thing, then you're not moving at all. Well, there's a lot more activity that you can do than just going to the gym if the gym isn't your thing, right? There's so many amazing studios and activities and sports teams and competitions. Like, find your jam, and then it's fun, right? And then stick to that. And also, I would say add variety to it, because even if you really are enjoying it, but if you never change it up, eventually at some point it will get a little dull. So add a little variety to your routine as well, and go into movement in a spirit of play. Like, this is me moving my body to make myself feel better, feel more energized. So I'm just gonna have some fun. And on day one, it might look like a walk. Day two, it might be dancing in your living room. Day three, you might be playing on a sports team. Like,
Yeah.
just, look at it as a spirit of fun, and that won't make it feel like work as much.
Oh man, you're getting rid of all my excuses for working out. This is like gonna be really bad.
Does puzzling
Coming
count
tomorrow.
for movement? Can puzzling, like
Yeah.
a movement?
Oh, puzzling, yes.
And
yeah,
puzzling.
the arm.
Big ones.
Yes, stretching. And yeah.
This guy really loves puzzling.
You got me started, man. You asked the question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all
sorry.
right.
It was my own fault. And actually, well, I'm gonna. While I got you on the line now, I was thinking a lot. Like, a lot of us here have employees and kind of own the culture in our office. And I think it's really important, and people are realizing it now, that it's really important to have a workplace wellness culture. And so, how do you promote that, or how do you, as a leader, like kind of make that a priority within, a culture of an office space?
Yeah, that's going to be kind of your own, as leaders, you gotta feel that out. But I think the fundamentals are key, and that is to be genuine, be caring, be a good listener. I think is a big piece to being a leader, and not with the intent to respond, but with the intent to understand. So when somebody's speaking with you, in fact, if people maybe have heard of Brene Brown, she's amazing. So if you ever had a chance to YouTube Brene Brown about empathetic listening, powerful stuff. And I think as leaders, we need to do more of that. And with that is just sitting down and listening. And actually, Darcy Lang, again, she has a great way of putting it. When people come to my office and they're just frustrated, right? And that's going to happen. I don't care what you do. You're going to be frustrated at times.
Yeah.
It's a three-time rule, right? The first time, you just want to come on and just, let go of your frustrations. I'm there for you. I'm going to listen, no problem, and I'm going to try to figure it out. Second time, okay, what are we going to, what are you doing to achieve success with this problem? And then the third time, it's, okay, I'm going to get involved, and I'm going to help you along the way, and I'm going to coach you through this. It's not, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to dictate to you, I'm going to coach you, and we're going to work together on that problem. And that seems to be really helped me in my success in business, and really it's just fundamental stuff. Really care about your team, care about yourself, lead by example. You can't teach people how to be positive, but you can lead them and show them.
Well, that was a great answer. And it's so true, too. And it's like, I bet you puzzling is the answer to every single one, right?
Help me. Except for the 3,000
Every time
piecers,
you have to get involved.
The team knows when I'm going into a 3,000 piecer. They're like, leave him alone. He didn't get his 8 hours last night.
I need help with
I think he's
puzzling.
intoxicated, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and actually, this is kind of a selfish question that I had for you, Brooke, that I thought about. For me, I take a lot of business meetings over lunch, or I go and I eat with some people, and most of the times I eat really unhealthy food when I do that. What's some good, like, healthy restaurant meals, if they exist?
My answer to this is maybe not what you expect. And when I was thinking about this question, what kind of came to my mind right off the bat was focus a little less about what you're ordering for lunch and just order whatever it is you truly feel like. Because you can trust your body.
that.
Your body will want vegetables sometimes, and I bet that any of us, anytime, say you travel and you're missing, has anyone been away and then they come back and it's like, man, I just want some vegetables. I think a lot of us have been there, and especially when you come from a place of food freedom as opposed to restrictive dieting rules, it's definitely a lot easier to trust your body. But so if you want the burger and fries, order the burger and fries, but really if you're tuning into your body, you're not gonna want that every single day. What I see more often, and what I would suggest is that people, again, think about breaking that fast between breakfast and lunch, so prioritizing and tuning into your hunger cue, because a lot of people in business will just ignore that hunger cue. They suppress it, they let themselves get too hungry, and when we hit that hangry zone, that we're empty, the gas tank is empty, we're hungry, we're angry, it's like, get out of my way.
I'm a nightmare when I'm hangry.
You know?
My brother knows. He'll be like, go eat a granola bar.
Yeah, there's research to show that we don't actually make great choices. We do crave sugar, we do crave fat, we do crave salt, and we want it quick. So avoid getting to that hangry zone. This is where packing some healthful snacks from home, again, most important thing, things that you enjoy. So don't pack the celery if you don't like celery, because you know what, you're not gonna eat celery when it's facing you. But pack it along, and I think what the beauty about having snacks with you, you're tuning into your hunger, prioritize that, and don't suppress it. Sometimes we have to functionally eat where it's like, well, I'm not hungry now, but I might be in an hour, but I'm gonna be in the middle of a meeting. So although we say, eat when you're hungry, which is such a simple thing, but it's amazing how many business people I work with whose first meal is at 3 p.m. because they just go, 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 go. And when you run on empty, you really build a lot of stress and cortisol levels in the body, which isn't always great. So anyway, don't ignore that hunger cue, pack those snacks from home, bring the things that you enjoy, a variety of things, and even if you do have a sweet or salty, if you craving, pack those little treats with you as part of your healthy snack. And I always say, it's not the more variety that you have and the more options you give yourself, the more freedom of choice you have. So if you brought nothing with you, you have no choice but to run to Tim Hortons or to the vending machine. But if you bring those healthful snacks, half the time you probably dig into them. The awesome thing about that is if you look at your healthy snacks and you're like, today, nah, it's not doing it. I'm not eating it. I'm going to get the cheesies. And it's like, fine, that's great. But that's the power of choice. And then at least you give yourself a choice and you're making the healthful choice a little bit more easy to make, but you don't have to make it. And that's really important. So I would say doing that kind of stuff, you're naturally going to make more healthful choices at a restaurant, and everybody knows how to make healthy choices. I was thinking in my brain, I was gonna say, order the salad with the chicken and the dressing on the side.
That's what I was scared
Just
you were gonna
kidding.
say. I was like, oh no.
I was like,
Don't tell me
no.
Oh, you gave me an excuse. I love it.
No. So that is my roundabout. And these are the types of counseling that we do in session. It's not your typical order the salad with chicken and dressing on the side.
That's what I expected, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I know.
Say that again. What was that?
You want it in that voice too?
Yeah, you nailed it.
That was good. Yeah.
Order the chicken on the side of the salad.
Now that I do that, I'm gonna picture you do that.
I'm trying to break down that stigma, right? But so roundabout answer, that's how I would answer that for you.
That's an awesome answer. I don't really think I could ask for much more. And honestly, I have so many questions personally. I'm probably going to ask all of you after. But I do have one final that I want to kind of ask, like the same question to each one of you. And then I want to open it up to everyone because I think it's probably more important that everyone here can take something home and practically apply it to their life. But the question that I have, and I can repeat this if anyone wants it, is what is the biggest health and wellness mistake you see busy people or entrepreneurs and business people making, and how can they tackle fixing that mistake? So whatever that is, there's no wrong answer, but I'm curious to kind of hear your guys' views on that and then play around with that a little bit.
So I think actually it fits very well with Bridges Health. It's holistic health and wellness. I think sometimes we focus on one aspect and forget about the others. Or we take a prescription, we deal with symptoms. We're not dealing with root causes. We were talking about that earlier today. And I think that is one of the biggest mistakes we all make. You know, we're not feeling good, let's go to the doctor. Well, the doctor has 7 minutes to assess you. And that's all based on their education, their experience, and what you're telling them. And if you're like me, you're not a very good communicator, so now they're guessing. And essentially, they're going to give you something that's going to treat that symptom. So let's use antidepressants. Okay, let's use that one. So serotonin in your brain is a part of what causes depression. It's low. You know, obviously that's going to be a possible cause. But what people don't realize is that serotonin actually comes from the body. 10% of serotonin is developed in your brain, and antidepressants are only impacting that 10%. They're only going after that 10%. So you have 90% of what's really impacting your depression or anxiety that's going on inside your guts or your body, you're exercising, how you're coping. So to me, it goes back to that holistic health and wellness. The other piece to this, if I have some time, tell me, because I'll shut up.
No, you got all. I'm
Okay.
just like enthralled.
Okay.
I'm just like, tell me more.
Yeah. Well, that'll end soon. So we've got. I always put it in three circles. So we got physical, we got social, and then we got mental. So each person has that in their wheelhouse, right? The further away those circles are, the less balanced you are. And the key is to be balanced. So bring those circles together as much as you can. Now I get it. I'm sitting here in a fairy tale land. I know it's hard, especially when we're putting 12 hours a day in. You're not eating till 3, and that resonated with me. But I crinkle cut French fries, gluten-free chips. Kettle chips, I think they're called.
Kettle cooked.
So I'm good. Yeah.
Those are a go-to for me too.
I can't stop them. Salt and
Man,
peppers.
a whole bag, gone.
Done. And then I'm like, oh, what did I just do to myself? It's the blue light. That's why I can't sleep. Anyway. Okay, so let's get back to business. Okay, so physical, social, and mental, 3. Bring them together. Really try. Have a social life. Don't get caught up in just working, going home, working, going home. Don't do that. Go out with your buddies. Do something, right? Mental, take some time, downtime. And physical, get some exercise. The last piece is how you think is how you will feel. And how you feel is how you will act. So try to put those in perspective. And I think that would be.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. That's a great. It's such a broad question, but I love hearing the expertise. I'm gonna ask you guys a bunch of questions after too. But Brooke, like, what do you think the most, like, the thing that you see that people are kind of failing at, and how they can tackle that?
Particularly people who work in business, entrepreneurs. I do work with a lot of busy people, people who work in the banking industry, who are very busy, and they really value probably all of the above, but climbing the ladder as well. They also value client care and satisfaction. But, and people in business typically are fairly type A personality, like myself. So type A personality, we think we can control everything, right? We can control our business, we can control everything around us, we can control our bodies and how it reacts to food. No, we can't actually. And unfortunately, this is often the message that we're given in our culture, is that you can control your body, you can control how you eat. If you have issues with food, it's your fault, and it's a willpower issue, which is all utter bullshit, really. But
I love it.
it's true. Yeah, the hard reality is we can't. And I think this is the number one area that I see, is that, we think that we can control all of these aspects. We can't really control how our body responds. But again, I think going back to the biggest things I see is the skipping meals and not prioritizing nutrition and sleep the way you prioritize climbing that ladder, or the way my clients prioritize their own client care and satisfaction. They're just putting everything above themselves. So yeah, it's really just kind of reprioritizing, but really not skipping meals, even if they're imperfect, even if it is gluten-free kettle.
A bag of chips,
Salt and pepper.
Sweet.
As imperfect as it is, just not skipping those meals. And again, when we run on empty nutritionally and sleep-wise, stress responses in the body, stress markers like cortisol and C-reactive protein can rise, and that can create a lot of issues throughout. But I definitely appreciate that holistic approach as well. One thing I want to say is that nutrition, sure, it plays such an important role in our overall health and wellness and our mental well-being, but let's not place it on too high of a pedestal. Yes, this is the dietitian saying this. Nutrition's important, but it's not that important. You know, we still sometimes need to take medication. We still need movement. It's not a cure-all panacea that people are really chalking it up to be these days. It's a small piece of the puzzle, an important piece of the puzzle, but it's just one piece of that puzzle. So often I'm referring people out to see, to do and see other, you know, look after other aspects of their life in order to improve energy, reduce stress, get better sleep, you know, work on their, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on in their life, but get to the root of the problem, which, nutrition can be part of the solution, but it's not the solution.
All of it. Yeah. That's an awesome answer. And beyond, I love that, like, I didn't expect that from you. I expected the, like, salad answer, and so I'm like, I'm loving this right now. This is awesome. And Dawn, again, not last but not least, like, what do you think, like, as far as, you know, what are people doing? What do you see that's, like, so damaging, and how can they, you know, again, tackle that?
Yeah, I think what comes to mind, because I so agree with everything that you guys have shared. So to add a little bit more to this topic is really, I think that one of the biggest mistakes that people make is looking for outside guidance and placing more value on that than tuning into their own body wisdom. Because no one knows your body better than you do. And every body is different, right? And what your body really needs from an energetic standpoint, fueling, sleep, all of the different components, no one can answer that for you. You have to find the answer for yourself. Mm-hmm. And really the only way you can do that is if you slow down long enough to listen. And so what does that even mean? I know for some people it's like, hey, what does it mean to tune into your body or to slow down? And you have to find your own way to do that, but it really is a matter of quieting your mind. It's starting to get to a place of simple focusing, relaxed breathing. If meditation's your thing, then doing some meditation. Something that will take you to a really simple, where you're not trying to really think too much, you're just focusing on something really simple. And then once you do that for a long enough period of time, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes, you can start to ask yourself, okay, how am I feeling? You know, what does my body need today? You know, do I feel tired? Do I need some healthy food? Do I need to move a little bit? Do I need to stretch? We have the answers that we're looking for. And if you're completely lost in a certain area of health, then of course there's so many great experts and practitioners and a wealth of knowledge. And I think there's so much value in soliciting guidance from experts. But at the same time, the really good ones are going to ask you, how do you feel? They're going to bring you back around and say, journal about how you're feeling for a week, and then let's dissect it. And if you're exhausted, well, what are we going to do for it? So you can come to some of those conclusions yourself and give yourself that gift of giving back, you know, by tuning in first.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. There's just so much more. And I do want to, instead of being so selfish, I want to open up to the crowd. I think we have a time for a few questions, and we should have some mics in the crowd. No, we do not, T-Bone. Oh, I've got the mic. So is there any questions, and can you kind of indicate who it's for, if it's for everyone? Do we have anybody with any questions? If not, we're going to end this perfectly on time. Oh, boom. Do you want me to run you the mic?
Dawn, my question is for you. My name is Kendra. I'm with the Chamber. And I want to hear more specifically about what you offer for fun movement classes.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that opportunity. So at our studio, like I had said, we focus on playful movement. I kind of say we're ambassadors of playful movement. And so we've kind of honed in on picking different programs that we feel inspired to share. And so we do pole dancing at the studio, and we also do aerial classes, so silks and hammocks and hoops and all the different apparatuses. We have bar classes, dance classes, and then we branch into other forms of wellness as well. So that's kind of what my team and I consider as playful movement for us. And you know, the participants that come there, they're interested in playing and exploring, and it's been pretty well received over the last 10 years, especially if you're looking for some variety in your movement. So, yeah, thank you.
Hi, Deb from Uyghurs Financial and Benefits. I will attest to the fact that your ClubMynx is so much fun. I'm going to tell you, it's been a very long time.
Thank you.
But we did a little bonding with our team, and a bunch of gals and one token guy went there, and we were trying to pole dance. It was hilarious.
Thank
And yes, we needed a little liquid encouragement to do. But it was good. It was lots of fun. And to your point, it's just movement. And actually, to be honest, I think one thing that you guys all missed is I think laughter is really important. Because that's something so simple, and we shouldn't have to try really hard at that. But boy, oh boy, if you can start to do more of that in amongst all the other stuff, that's important too. But I get a lot of grief from my daughter, who is a high-level soccer player, and she's like notorious for being completely structured from morning, noon to night. Colton, that's Jackson, right? And she's like, I go with my little baggie of 2 boiled eggs and a hunk of cheese, and she goes, "Is that it? Is that all you eat for breakfast?" Right? And I'm going, well, whenever I get around to eating it. But even the exercise, like she's very structured in terms of doing it early in the morning. I'm the gal that can work most of the day, go home, and maybe make it to the gym 8, 9 o'clock at night. Is that okay? Like, I think it's okay because I'm not the morning person. I would have a difficult time getting up in the morning and exercising at 6. I don't think the wheels are in motion yet. But is it going to do the same thing for me?
Yeah, like for sure, I think what's most important is move when you can fit it in and you're inspired to move. That's number one, right? Because if you work from the opposite way where you should be doing it, then all of a sudden you'll develop a resistance to it. If it doesn't feel good to exercise in the morning, you won't want to do it. They'll become more and more painful and treacherous as you have to do it, and then all of a sudden that's what's being skipped in your regular routine. So if it feels better to exercise at night, exercise at night. My only stipulation with that is just be aware that you do get a bit of a boost of energy with a vigorous activity, and so if you want to exercise and then go straight to sleep, that might be challenging.
Yeah, well, I'm like Leon. I'll go home, I'll shower up, a bowl of popcorn, I sit down, I watch TV, and then I go
Yeah.
like that. I'm done.
Yeah. The evening is great time for like special gentle movement for sure, right? Like if you want to move at night, you know, it's a great time to do some yoga at home, or even like just gentle movement where you're not necessarily raising your heart rate for a really, really long period of time. But fit it in when you can. Fit it in when it feels good for you. That will always be better than trying to do what someone else told you that you should do, but it feels really inauthentic and then you don't want to do it anymore.
I have a question for Brooke. I'm Linda with PCL Construction. I've been hearing a lot more lately about intermittent fasting. Can you tell me what your perspective is on that?
I think there is some decent research coming out around intermittent fasting and various outcomes. But again, being a non-diet dietitian, what that means is that I don't fall under the category of helping people to diet in terms of whatever that means, whether it's based on specific times of the day or specific types of food. The research around, when we look at dieting research, it depends what we're looking at in terms of outcomes. And unfortunately, again, the message is that weight loss equals health, and that's actually really false. And how we actually go about that can be incredibly damaging. So regardless of the research on, it doesn't even matter, the Mediterranean diet, low-carb diets, ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting for improved cholesterol levels or weight, often it's regarding weight loss. Any weight loss research out there is really short term. We actually don't know past 6 months to a year, sure, say X amount of participants lose X amount of weight. And to be honest, when you look at weight loss research, the amount of weight that people are losing is not incredibly huge. It's a small percentage. But we don't, and maybe some of the participants lose, some don't complete. And then there's always this, the people that didn't complete or didn't lose weight weren't compliant. It's just really poorly worded. But we don't have any long-term evidence of did those people who lost weight actually keep it off. And some of the evidence out there that we do have regarding long-term weight loss, I mean, any kind of dieting, most often people are dieting, whether it's intermittent fasting or regardless of what it is for weight loss. But the research really shows that around 85 to 90%, 85 to 90% of people who do engage in weight loss gain it back. So like, where in medical care would we ever recommend something with such poor outcomes? We wouldn't, right? Except for some reason weight loss sneaks through. So, it's really, and I mean, there's a host of evidence showing that dieting increases your mortality, reduces the age with which people see mortality. It increases risk for chronic conditions like heart disease and diabetes, especially chronic dieting, so on and off a diet over the years. It slows your metabolic rate. It's not great for your bones. And dieting, speaking of mental health, which is a big, I think, piece of health and wellness, or I think should be for 2019, dieting creates social isolation. And this is actually a huge cause of mortality across the world. And so I think there's I think no matter what it is, I don't specifically, to be honest, I haven't looked at a lot of the research around intermittent fasting. And I know that there are other outcomes. People are looking at blood sugar control. But I guess my point is, regardless of what it is, if you decide that you're eating between a certain time frame, but you get hungry, talking about tuning into your body, if you're going to ignore that hunger cue because it's not time, like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And then, when you do eat, anytime there's restrictive behavior in practice, and I know there's research to show this too, that anytime there's restrictive behavior, it often leads to a binge when it comes to food. And it's, again, a lot of the time it's come down to you have poor self-control. No, actually, it's the restrictive behavior that's causing any sort of, whether it's clinical or otherwise, binge around food. So it's not really the way to go. Again, I know there's all types of diets, and regardless of what we see in the research, and even if it's best research and best practice, the way we approach our clients is it really the best for you? Because each and every person, like, no nutrition plan is gonna be the same. You can guarantee we do not give out the Canada Food Guide at our location, which is changing, and we're very excited about what the new changes will look like. But it doesn't matter what the new food guide looks like, because everybody needs something different. And we really try to find, basically the bottom line is we're trying to find a way that people feel most confident in eating, that they feel that they can, that they feel best, right? That they feel best about themselves. Dieting actually worsens self-esteem and doesn't actually do a lot for people's health in the long run. So, and is never one that people can stick with. So yeah, I guess. But we can chat after. Yeah, if I didn't answer that, sorry.
No, that was awesome. That's great. Thank you guys so much for answering the question. I'm going to volunteer your time, but they'll be sticking around after, hopefully, so you guys can ask more questions. I know Leon said he wanted to bring it home with one more short thing, sorry, what was that?
No, you know what? If you guys want to help me out, perfect. I want water too, right? I find that if I'm starving sometimes, I'm like, no, I'm not hungry. I'm thirsty. And there's a difference. So to me,
the tuning in. That's like we actually encourage people to do 10-second body scans throughout the day. And for some clients, we'll actually get them to time it in. Like at 10 a.m., your timer goes off, and that's your chance to do a 10-second body scan. Yeah. Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Where am I at?
And that's kind of what you were saying, bringing it all in and listening to your body. And that's a big deal. It's huge. I just wanted to come back to a couple things, and then I'll be really quick. When you're at night and you're struggling, you can't turn it off.
Totally.
Write a list. Write it down. Right? Just write it down and then just drop it. Like, let it go. Figure it out how to let it go. But you got to let it go. And then deal with it in the morning. Like, get that list figured out. And the next thing, it's kind of a saying, and you probably heard about it, but it's about how to deal with stuff, right? When it's coming at you. Think about the waves. You can't control waves, but you can learn how to surf. Right? So think that way. That might help you out. And remember, you can't drink from an empty cup. So if you're drained, don't think you're going to be a superstar, because you won't be, and it won't last. And then the last thing, and then I'll stop, is, and to me, this is pretty dear to me, and it's about changing mindsets. Going away from, I have to go to work today. I have to get to this meeting. I have to fill the car up. I have to shovel the walk, to, I get to go to work today. I get to go to that meeting today. Because I'll tell you, if you're talking to anybody that's going through something really like terminal, they would take your place in a heartbeat. So just remember how lucky you are and put that in perspective. And I'm not suggesting for a second that mental health and illnesses aren't real, because they are. But try to just put in perspective, keep your fundamentals in check, and hopefully that'll help you out.
That's awesome. Thanks for those last practical tips, guys. That was so awesome. Like I said, I could probably sit here for like 3 more hours. But like I said, they'll be hanging around. I'm gonna call up Cody. We have a giveaway, and you guys don't go too far. We got some stuff for you too, guys. But guys, give me a big hand for all these awesome panelists. Am I drawing it? Oh. Okay. Actually, you know what? Why don't Brooke come up here and draw the winner? I'm not gonna draw it. I'm not important like you are. If you win, it's rigged. I guess someone just put a sticky note. That's probably mine. It's probably like just my name. Come on, T-Bone. We gotta get a drum roll or something. I'm just kidding. Oh, Derry Mellon. Congrats. Where's our Cody? You got our gift? Yeah. Curtis has got it. Awesome. Congrats. Thanks again, guys. One more hand for our panelists, and have a good night, everybody. Oh.
It's all good. All right, well, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Curtis and Annika have gifts for you. I'm really happy that this is January 9th and it's not too late to renew my resolution properly. So definitely feel way more equipped to approach this year with holistic health in mind. So thank you guys very much. You guys can go grab some seats. So on behalf of our team, the Chamber, and our sponsors, Connexus, Thrive, Edwards, Doreen's, LB, Rogue Phoenix, Sound Lounge, as well as Black Dog, Payworks, and the W Law Group, thank you for making Chamber on Tap your networking event of choice. I definitely encourage you to grab another drink, grab some more food, enjoy this opportunity for some really great networking here tonight, and then plan a safe ride home, and have a great night.